Welcome. It is no accident that you have found your way to the Release the Genie podcast. What would you do with 3 wishes? And what if you discovered that you are in fact that very genie that could grant them? Well, join us now as we discover who our next genie is as we listen in and learn the stories of triumph, inspiration, and passion with some very special guests. And now, without further delay, your host of the Release the Genie podcast, Mr. Paul Rogers.
That's so much better. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're tuning in from. I am your host, Paul Rogers, and welcome to another episode of Release the Genie. Very special lady here today as our guest genie. First of all, which gets massive kudos on my part, she's a fellow Brit, so it's kind of nice hearing the accent, bless her. But also very talented. And we've talked a lot, and you will see how much of a brilliant communicator and just fantastic energy. She is a psychotherapist, hypnotist, and a counselor for trauma recovery and post-traumatic growth. She's a mother to 3 boys, and she really does empower and care about giving people the meaning and the purpose of living authentically and finding their deeper meaning and purpose. So let me bring in the wonderful Lisa Rowe.
Thank you. Wow. You're right, I'm blushing. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure, and I'm like most times it's so nice to actually meet someone who is such a light giver. So I wonder if you could just tell us a little bit more about yourself. I'll kind of set the back scene for you.
Okay. Well, I help people deal with any overwhelm, which is trauma, and that applies to anything. It can be a student being overwhelmed in an exam or work outstanding. It can be a traumatic experience, such as an accident or whatever's overwhelming for that person. And I help provide resources to get them to where they need to be and beyond, really, to the resilience and, to create new life, as you said, with deeper meaning. So I help people to sort of effectively self-regulate so that they can be empowered to deal with life's challenges.
And it's so important because most people are kind of external focused and they don't take the time to do the internal work. So true. You're on a crusade there to sort of switch that around so that people do start to do that work.
And people need to be ready to do that. It's such a personal journey. Yeah.
Love it. No, I think you're right. And I know with sort of the skills you have of a psychotherapist, a hypnotist, a hypnotherapy, and also a counselor, it's kind of an all-inclusive personal work person. So that's wonderful.
And it is my work that shows me the way forward. It's every client that I've ever worked with, some of my own personal experiences that have helped create this path that, you can't kind of see it as you're doing it. And I'm sure you've heard that before. It's beyond the bit where you've just studied and learned and worked through that you think, wow, someone's helped me to grow, or I've helped someone else to grow. That's the way it is.
It's making an impact, isn't it? It's changing people so that you leave them in a better place than when you found them.
Absolutely.
Love it. Well, look, that's amazing. Thank you very much for sort of giving us a sort of an insight into you. So I'm going to ask you now, what was one of your, or what a aha stroke release the genie moment for you?
At the time, I didn't think it was so big, but now, it's something that people encounter every day. I was in a difficult relationship and very, very lost within that. And there wasn't a point when I look back that I was going to get out of it. So I just continued within this storm, if you like, of difficulty until, there was an experience, a difficult experience where I just found my enough. And it was that sort of released, didn't realize the potency and the power of finding yourself in that moment where I was just able to think clearer. But whilst I was in that, it was incredibly difficult. It was a little bit like being lost from myself. However, at the time, raising 3 boys, running my own successful private practice, working in a clinical setting, and I just enrolled on a master's degree. So this was 10 years ago. So there was a lot going on, a lot of distraction, but finding that enough point was,
I think you're right.
Sort of release the genie moment.
Yeah, well, I think you're right that, we take a lot on, but it gets to a point where we hit the wall, have that sort of moment where we say, no, okay, we've got to stop. We've got to then
Absolutely.
walk back from that. So I think that's very powerful because if you've been through that, you can see and recognize it in other people a lot quicker.
Absolutely. These are the people I work with. Yes.
And, that's what you can really reach. And I know that it really that's what makes you feel good about, what you do is helping and pulling other people back and showing them the path.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Their path.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love it. Well, look, given all this sort of fantastic area which we're in, has there been a quote or a mantra which has really sort of stuck out for you?
There's always a way forward. I think it's a poem by David Wyatt. Yeah, there's always that. There's always a way forward. There's always a door to open. Always. And if you're not finding it, it's because you're not seeing it. So that is my favorite.
That's lovely. And as you were saying that, I felt this really, the emotion of hope, that actually it gives people hope to know that even though they can't find the door, if
it's there.
If you've got guidance with someone like yourself, you can at least show them that they may have been looking in the wrong place.
Yeah.
I love it. Very, very powerful stuff. And lots of meaning behind that. So, wow. Moving on to the next part, because I'm just going to go off and go wow everywhere. So could you tell me about, or be able to share with us, a setback or an adversity of something you had to overcome?
Gosh, so many things. After separating, so there I had to sort of continue, find somewhere else to live, house on the market, everything. And I then had a road accident where I had whiplash and had to keep going. And that was my own recovery. So 9 months with a foggy head. And I think I was studying to be a support mentor within universities and colleges at the time. And I remember the information that I was having to take in, and the way that I got through it was just minute by minute. I wasn't able to sort of see beyond the next day. My preparation skills went out the door, really, but I was there and I was present for myself and others minute by minute. I just had to draw back. So I often think about that as being pretty triumphant, and just keeping myself really steady, self-care, and all those things that are very valuable. Yeah.
And that again, I can see where your personal experiences sort of have helped your work, because if you're going minute for minute, it's forcing you to stay in the present, in the now, and that's not
mindful.
Yeah, exactly.
There's that
Exactly.
word.
Yeah. And so many people are kind of looking for this will-o'-the-wisp type thing, but
It's
having some,
within.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
the genie.
Yeah. Well done. And so, so no, no, it's so important, and I think that will resonate with so many people
I hope so.
who are, they're not lost. They just can't find they just can't find that last missing piece. So I think that's very, very powerful. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Look within.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm going to write this down. So this is going to be quite an interesting heroes. So who would you say is your hero? Now they can be alive or dead, fiction, non-fictional, and why?
You know, I have so many. So it's our typical people who've shown humility deep and meaningful, and they created the benchmark. Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, you know, there are so many unsung heroes who do this daily, that work on the behalf of others, and it's those two. So yeah,
I love that. I
sorry, I
mean,
can't.
oh no. I mean, what that is, and what I've got from that is, it is the unsung hero. It is the person who is holding it together as best they can, and that actually takes all the internal, and sometimes heroes don't wear underwear on the outside of themselves and run around in a cape. Sometimes they actually look like you and me. So I love that. Very, very powerful.
Yeah, it's a silence, isn't it? When
Yeah.
we show humility, you know, we're not expecting others to notice.
Yeah.
So it is a silent magic, really. That's what I admire.
It's very, very powerful, and thank you for that. So what are you working on at the moment? What's sort of going on in Lisa's world at the moment?
Oh gosh, I do many things. I'm always spinning so many plates and learning different things. But at the moment, I'm learning how to be a meditation teacher. And that's because I'm really exploring the different philosophies in that, so that I can draw back in, give my clients the best service. But I'd like to also do something for my community in that, especially in light of what we're experiencing at the moment. So I've got brilliant friends here. So little shout out to Lisa Stevens, who does a mind body dance here for people. She's really sort of she creates a way, and she invited me to do a little mindfulness section at the end of one of her little yoga retreats. So that kind of thing, I would like to give back to my community.
Do you know, it's so nourishing what you are saying as well. To, you know, it's not all me. How, you know, it's actually, and this is a recurring theme with you, of actually being of service, putting back in, and so I think that's really, you are desperately authentic, because what you say you do is what you do. You know, you're not saying it and then not doing it. You actually, if you say it, it's what I do. So I love that. I love that. What a wonderful world you're in at the moment. That's really cool.
Thank you. Thank you. I think so too.
Don't worry, I'm sure everyone who's listening will think exactly the same, because there's a lot of stuff here which is resonating with people. We're all in the same boat. We all got an element of trauma. So for someone to actually say, I can help you with this, that's invaluable advice and resource, because we were talking earlier about having the resources available.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. When people have that, how equipped they are for the world, it should be taught much sooner. That's my opinion.
No, I think you're absolutely right on that, and it's kind of one of the issues which I think needs to change somewhat. So excellent. Wow. Well, look, let me now walk into my 3 wishes. Are you ready? Are you ready, Mrs. Genie?
I think so.
So my first wish is, what has been the best advice you have received?
Okay. It was by Adrian Lee at the Burn Institute in Nottingham, and she looked me straight in the eye. I don't know what she was seeing at the time. So this could have been my release the Genie moment too. This was prior to me separating. She said, "You're stronger than you think." And there was something about the delivery of that and the way she said that. It just hit the sweet spot, and I really took that in.
That's amazing, and
yeah,
it was, and so correct, and that again links back to being mindful, to be able to go within. So I love that. It's really powerful. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm doing pretty well with my wishes so far. I'm going to move now to my second wish, which is, what advice would you give your younger self?
To be yourself. Just be yourself. I was afraid to do that. I was afraid of not being liked. I think as a empath, I'm a very empathic person. I was picking up a lot of information about others, but not enough going on within. So the roadmap to finding myself would be the advice I would give to my younger self. Just be yourself.
It's amazing, and again, it's something which is overlooked. We seem to have a recurring theme here, and that's what I like about what you do so much. It's the base stuff, and if you don't have a base, then you can't. There's nothing to build on. So I think
creates a strong foundation within.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is, rather than being mindful. Yeah, no, and you're so right. I think that's overlooked, but very important. So yeah, brilliant. Well, look, I'm going to wander into my third wish now, which is, I wonder if you could share with us one personal habit that attributes to your success.
Okay, self-investment. Just investing in yourself. Yeah, it can be costly, but it's worth it. So educate yourself, read, and do good things for yourself first, and it starts to flow into your outer actions and into other people. So self-investment's massive, in good ways. I don't mean designer handbags and that sort of thing. I mean personal development.
There's a lot of, when people say self-love and things like that, there's a lot of, well, isn't that just selfish? But I really believe that they haven't quite got what that actually means. So that's
self-love isn't easy. It's challenging, and it takes commitment.
And it's commitment.
We're social beings. We're designed to be very out there socially, and we get hijacked in that. So I think even entrepreneurs have really caught on to this, haven't they? They are very mindful people. They see the value in that.
And I think going forward in the new sort of landscape which we're going to be operating in, especially on the business side, I can see that becoming, and I wonder if you do as well, I can see that becoming more and more important.
I hope so. I think this is the purpose of all this. And I know that you do this to create awareness, and so hopefully, in that collective out there.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. If we all stand up and say the same thing, people are gonna, oh well, that kind of. So we can make our own herd mentality. How about that?
I'm up for that. I think you've already got something going on.
Oh, well, to be honest, that's why actually when I said this before, when I meet people like you who are doing such great and unsung hero work, it's always nice to sort of bring that to the fore. So it's great. It's a pleasure having you on the show. So
thank you.
That's fine. Right. So I'm not going to ask you, because you said how much you like reading and stuff. So what is one book you would be able to recommend for the viewers and listeners?
Okay. Wasn't easy for me to pick this, I have to say. But it's 101 Trauma Interventions by Linda Curran. So it's a workbook. So I've got a copy of it here. So it's quite big. Yeah, I don't know her. I don't know at all. This isn't. I'm not endorsing anyone, but it is just valuable, and it is big. 101 trauma-informed intervention. So yeah, so that is like a life book for people to dip into.
That is such a great resource. Yeah, no, it's the other jinx resource at the same time. It's very. Resources. We talked about this. There doesn't seem to be enough resources or accessible.
Yes. Yeah.
So wonderful. Look, well, where can we find you after having sort of talked about that? Where's the best place to get hold of you?
I have a website, Instagram, Facebook, the usual.
Okay, that's cool. What's your website called, and do you go under your name for?
Yes, it's Lisa Rowe, which is ROE. www.lisarowetherapies.co.uk.
And on social media, just under your name.
Yeah, Lisa Rowe.
Perfect.
Short and sweet.
Well, it's wonderful. Thank you so much for appearing on the show. I'm just going to do a very quick summary here. So many great takeaways. Concentrating, being mindful, doing the work. You can't skip the levels and hope to get the results if you're not willing to put the time in, and being guided. Sometimes you need somebody like Lisa to be able to show you that actually may have been looking in the wrong place. So thank you once again, Lisa. It's been an absolute pleasure. And
absolute pleasure to be here and to meet you too.
Thank you. Thank you. And did you have fun?
I did.
That's kind of like the important question, actually. So well, look, guys, I hope you've had as much fun as I have, and I hope you've got as much insight as I have. I would love for you to go forward and be mindful, find and release your genie, and stay tuned for more great guests. Once again, thank you, Lisa. And goodbye for now.
Well, that's a wrap. You have been listening to yet another episode of the Release the Genie podcast with host Paul Rogers. Be sure to follow Paul on the LinkedIn platform and learn more of Paul's resources at www.takeactionacademy.ca. And until next time, as always, be mindful and be sure to release your genie. Thanks for listening.